Welcome to the podcast, Truck Hauling Talks. I'm John Jackson. The goal of this podcast is to bring you thoughtful discussions, interesting points of views, insights, and valuable information that you can apply to your trucking operation. The podcast is dedicated to exploring the most pressing transportation challenges from development and start to implementation. Truck Hauling Talks believes that transportation is an essential part of our daily lives and is passionate about finding ways to make it more sustainable, efficient, and profitable for drivers and small businesses. Thank you for listening to Truck Hauling Talks. Now here's this week's podcast. If I can get you back up here. Here we go. All right. Thank you once again for joining us at Truck Hauling Talks. This is John Jackson, and I'm here with Chanel White. And Chanel has been in the industry for going on 20 years, and she's been helping motorists of all kinds over those years to make sure that their titles are taken care of, or other paperwork they may have pertaining to DMV registration processes. And Chanel, thank you again for joining us. Welcome. And you're welcome. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm gonna do that again. Thank you for joining us, Chanel.
You're welcome.
Okay. And this week we're going to be talking about situations dealing with fueling and mileage for drivers, for truckers. I'm talking about your Ifta stickers. They're good for 1 year. They're good from January 1st of that year all the way up until December 31st of that same year. However, you do have a grace period of about 30 days, 31 days. They usually give you till the end of January of the following year to get that new sticker on the side of your tractor. So with that being said, why do we need an Ifta sticker, Chanel?
Well, the Ifta sticker is the other part to your IRP, IRP or portion plate. They connect, but they're separate, and they're the opposite of each other. So your Ifta deals with the fuel that you are purchasing. It allows you to purchase fuel interstate, and also if you're going into Canada, you can purchase fuel from there as well. So it's, international type of tax, so to speak. Each state or jurisdiction gets their allotted share pertaining to the tax rate in that state or jurisdiction that you're going through. So that's basically the purpose when it comes to Ifta.
Okay. Now, are there any perks pertaining to the Ifta? I mean, do we get a discount or anything, or
Well, it's not so much as a discount that you're going to get. However, if you end up purchasing when it's time to do your taxes, your quarterly Ifta taxes, when it's time to file, if you have more, if you purchase more than what was allotted and whatnot, factoring in the miles that you ran in accordance to the gallons of fuel that you purchase, right? Right. Then you could possibly get a refund.
Okay.
So that factors in the formula once, your taxes are being filed quarterly.
Okay. So there are some perks to making sure you do those quarterly. I know sometimes you can get behind on it, and it happens because it's something that's due quarterly, and we have to keep up with the mileage when we go from state to state. We have mileage books, or some people may be doing it electronically now from state to state using that formula or that type of equipment to keep records of what it is that they're doing each month or each trip that they're taking. Now, with the Ifta sticker, or with that whole process, that's coming straight through DMV, correct?
That is coming through DMV, but there is an Ifta board within the United States, and they're the ones that set forth, the policies and guidelines pertaining to Ifta, and they in turn distribute it to the states. I mean, it's DMV mandated, but you still have the board over DMV that put those policies in place.
Okay. All right. I'm a new driver. I'm giving you a scenario. I like to do the scenario thing, and that's for new drivers or company drivers. I know a lot of truckers are out there who work for companies, and this is something that you don't see. This is administrative part. You're used to getting your loads, going to your designated delivery or pickup location and doing that part of the job. What we're talking about now is the behind the scenes, the administrative part of it. If you decided at any time you wanted to do something a little different as far as looking at becoming an owner operator, some people who go into the lease options, I don't know if the company that you're working for would give you any assistance with that, or they leave that up to you to take care of for yourself. With that being said, what guidelines do we need to follow as drivers if we are looking to become an owner operator, switch over from the driver side, switching over from a company driver side to becoming an owner operator? How do we start? What do we need to do?
The most important thing will be whether you're going to be using an ELD, an electronic log device, based on the age of your vehicle, your tractor.
Yes.
Or are you going to be using paper logs? Mm-hmm. Now, I've seen issues with both. Okay, from filing Ifta taxes, I've filed Ifta taxes for years.
Okay.
And I've seen issues with both sides. And one of the biggest, problems that drivers have is not recording those miles or not utilizing their ELD, properly, or maybe the ELD itself has malfunctioned. But in either case, if those miles are not recorded, that's going to be a huge concern. Okay. I don't really see a whole lot of issues with the fuel receipts sometimes, other than, truckers, unfortunately, they duplicate the receipts. I do see that. But aside from that, I don't really see a lot of issues with the gallons being recorded. It's just those miles. You got to really stay on top of those miles. Okay. Because if you don't, then what's going to happen is DMV is going to do a guesstimate of what they think you did. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be much more than what you actually did.
Okay. So that's good information to know. And I will add to that, DOT does require all trucks with electronic login devices, ELDs, to have paper logs as well as the mileage books, just in case you have some type of electrical issue with your ELD truck, any type of electrical issue with your ELD device on your truck. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you're following those rules, and that'll keep you from getting those unnecessary citations. I think there are a lot of write-ups and citations that are unnecessary, or warnings. Warnings are worse than citations, but we'll get into that another time. You can fight a ticket, but you can't fight a warning. Warning gets to stay on your record for a very long time. Mm. So just make sure you're doing that with your ELD devices, and you have all types of backups out there on the road. Okay. So you were saying that with the with the Ifta sticker, or with the guidelines for the Ifta sticker, there are some consequences, or there are some situations or circumstances where, someone did not follow or do what they were supposed to do. Can you give me, some examples of what, you've experienced in the past? Can you think of any offhand?
Yeah, it's plenty, but I just will name a few. Some drivers honestly don't even pay attention to their logs at all. Mm-hmm. And whether they're new or whether they're seasoned, they don't feel like being bothered with the process. Mm-hmm. So they will, come to me and say, well, Chanel, I didn't keep track of these miles or whatever. Can you just put something down? No, I'm not. Because in the event, an audit goes down,
correct,
DMV is going to look to me. Correct. So I do understand you truckers out there that you may not want to be bothered with the process, but it's going to come at a price. My recommendation, and I've always said this from doing Ifta taxes, I recommend that you do not put your miles out at the last minute during that quarter. To make things easier on yourself, log and record your miles. Look at your miles at the end of every week. Okay, maybe you ran 1,200 one week. Maybe you did 2,000 the next week. Whatever you ran, take it as a weekly thing. Okay, gather all your miles for that week, gather all of your fuel receipts for that week, and then at each of every month, then you can compile all of those miles and fuel receipts from that month. So at the end of that quarter, you should have 3 months worth of fuel and mileage for that quarter, and that would make it easier on you instead of looking through documents or thumbing through your ELD and trying to get everything that way. Just take it week by week.
Okay.
One other thing I want to suggest is, there are some drivers that just do guesstimates. They guess and they assume, I went through PA, I went through Florida, whatever. They just pull numbers out of the sky. Bad mistake. A last thing I want to point out is, drivers sometimes wanting to put down miles, okay, and then the fuel receipts don't add up.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me word it this way: they may have fuel receipts, but they don't have miles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the better way to put it. They'll have fuel receipts and no miles. You cannot use fuel receipts if you don't have those miles to correspond.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that might sound like common sense, but it happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm seeing you bring me, as an example, fuel receipts from North Carolina, right?
Right.
And I'm looking through your miles, and I ask you, okay, well, where's your North Carolina miles at? I mean, you will have to have North Carolina miles if you're bringing me North Carolina fuel receipts.
Correct.
So that's another frequent problem that I've come across.
Truck Hauling Talks can't make this podcast a success alone. You'll be joining a transportation community who share the same dedication to this important topic. Not only will you hear about the latest videos when you subscribe, but you'll also have the opportunity to engage with Truck Hauling Talks and other subscribers in the comments section. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and explore the world of transportation with us. Be safe, driver.